if you want to do business in country X, you have to succumb to country X because country X isn't bending. You have to.
How did you tailor your strategy around communications or government relations as you entered these different markets? Because there's many different sort of cultural nuances in the markets that you have worked in as well. And I think this would be really helpful for some of the people listening who run their own projects or part of different communities all around the world, just to understand like how they can expand their own projects or expand their communities as well going forward.
I'd say that the first thing that people need to recognize is that they are experts in their industry and when operating in their industry in their country or in similar countries. So, what in military terms is referred to as the Five Eyes Alliance, the English speaking, economic tier one countries, US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand. You can slip and slide amongst those and there's absolutely no problem. And so people are confident that they know what they're doing, they know business communication, fine. The reality is that they do and they don't. They do in a limited context of countries. And you may go to Bahrain or Kenya even, and realize that these people have, or even Malaysia, and these people have very, very odd, occasionally lax, over deferential ways of acting, and it's just it's ridiculous and very, very quaint. Well, they're thinking exactly the same, and there's no point in having an internal argument around which is correct. You simply have to accept that if you want to do business in country X, you have to succumb to country X because country X isn't bending. You have to. So you need to dispense with that cultural arrogance. Just forget about it. And you have to embrace, and I say this to people in every context, I advise senior leaders, it's always the same, and they look at me strangely. You have to learn to understand the power of saying, I don't know. And in my experience, the more senior someone is in a company, with a few exceptions, the more senior someone is in a company, the more difficult it is for them to accept that advice that they need to say and be seen to be saying regularly, internally and publicly. I don't know. There's this mistake people make of thinking leadership is about having all the answers. A bit like Uncle Rico, there's a movie reference there for you, Dan, is all about having all the answers.
Yeah.
It's not. The only thing a company has is people. The real value is brain power. If you want to amplify that brain power, get lots and lots of different types of brain power. People from very, very different industry backgrounds, very, very different cultural backgrounds. People are the only thing we have. And you cannot harness them if you adopt this. To my mind, it's a strongly US business cultural practice. You cannot harness the brains of those people if you stick to this culture of leading from the front. Almost like some sort of Trojan warrior covered in sweat and blood with a sword, leading from the front. No, you shouldn't lead from the front. You should employ the best people possible and create an environment where they can communicate, and there should be no relationship between seniority within an organization and their right to make suggestions and contribute ideas. It is precisely because someone is not in a leadership position, they will say, yeah, the strategy that you keep banging on about and pushing down to us and implementing, yeah, we can all see why you're doing it, but all of us down here know that it won't work, because that will break and that will keep coming back, but no one asks us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolute gold dust. So create an environment internally where people are happy to contribute, and you do that by harnessing the power of saying internally and publicly, I don't know, but you know what, I've got some brilliant people internally who do. I've been clever. I've employed really brilliant people that know that area, and that area. So that, you know, so there are two areas of culture. One is, listen, you need to be subservient to cultural practices in the countries that you're operating in. The countries will not bend. The countries have those cultural practices built in many cases over thousands of years. Understand that. You have to bend. Better still, have great people on the ground who understand that stuff and learn to listen to them. And then more broadly, in terms of getting the best out of an organization, if you employ brilliant people, you need then to create an environment where they can say, yes, thanks for the update. You're suggesting that we pivot to this, and instead of you know, developing our own supply chain, we adopt a licensing model. I think I can see where you're going, but that would be an error, because this is the office receptionist. You know, you should rejoice at that. You should rejoice at that. You know, that's the environment you need to create.